And welcome back to another episode of Too Much Pod Tar. Today is April 19th, as I will be looking back on baseball history once again. I'm by myself this time, going solo. But kind of a slower day today, not as many things going on, so it'll be a quicker episode. We'll be going through some of the main big things, and then also at the end going through the birthdays. So, yeah, and before I start, as a reminder, we've done a bunch of these episodes, so if you haven't listened to some of the ones that we did prior, there's a whole bunch of them, daily ones that we've done in the past for these, looking back in history. To pass some time, you can look back and listen to some of those and give some reviews, ratings, whatever you're inclined to do. And yeah, so let's get into it.
That's gone. George Brett has just homered, and Billy Martin and the Yankees want the bat. Look at Martin.
Well, what you're talking about, Frank, is that he's got too much
pod tar.
way too much pod tar.
First thing I noticed was 2019, last year, the first matchup of players that wore number 0, as it was Adam Ottavino pitching for the Yankees, and he was facing Terrence Gore of the Royals. And after 150 years, that was the first time. Of course, Ottavino, I believe, was the first pitcher to wear it, so it's not surprising that there was never. I mean, obviously, it's going to happen, so it wouldn't have happened before. But Ottavino was the first Yankee to wear number 0, and Gore was the second Royals player ever to wear the number 0. And it was the other one who did it for the Royals was George Scott in 1979. So, yeah, pretty cool moment to see that. And Ottavino ended up striking out Gore in that at bat. And then back to 2013, Matt Harvey. Haven't heard that name in a while, but he became the first pitcher to win. First pitcher in modern day history, to win his first 4 games while giving him less than a combined 10 hits. So that was a pretty cool accomplishment for him. He had a few years there, and with the Mets, he was pretty good. But he fought through injuries as well, and he just hasn't been the same pitcher since those, having Tommy John and all that. So, now last year he was pitching somewhere. I forget. I think it was the Reds. Was he pitching for? No, he's pitching for somewhere. But then he ended up getting cut, and he hasn't been pitching since. Yeah, Angels last year. Sorry, I was with the Angels last year, and he hasn't pitched since being released last year during the season. He struggled. So, but still, he has that cool accomplishment, and he had his solid start to his career. Just the injuries were the main thing that caused him not to be as good. He would have been a great pitcher, I think. He would have been a really good pitcher, but if he had stayed healthy, and just sad to see stuff like that happen, where it's so hyped up, think he's going to be good. He has a great start, great first year, great even second year, and then just his injuries just killed him. Sad to see that. Really, there's no any other main big things that happened from there and back till 1999. As in 1999, Cal Ripken Jr. he was placed on the disabled list for the first time in his 19-year career. And he was on the disabled list for 22 games because of a sore back. So, yeah, the Iron Man, 19 years without any going injury, bound to happen to everybody. Every player, and at some point, is going to end up, having that happen like at least once in their career. But he was the ultimate Iron Man. He, of course, has the long streak of games played. So he was just incredible. That was like 19 years without even getting an injury that bad to be on the injured list, or disabled list. I mean, now it's the injured list, yeah. But that's just incredible. And yeah, he was crazy good. And at the time, he was the third baseman. He switched over to third base after playing the majority of his career at short. He switched to third, which is something I hate the argument with Derek Jeter saying Derek Jeter was the worst fielding shortstop in history. He's another one who broke down at the end of his career. He wasn't as good. Cal Ripken did too, so that's why he switched to third. Jeter, his stats are skewed because of the last few years where he wasn't as great. Like, if you're talking about putting Jeter on a team, you want to start a team with Jeter. You're talking about 21-year-old or whatever, 23-year-old Jeter, 25-year-old Jeter. You're not talking about 36-year-old Jeter who was not as great and, didn't have the range. He didn't have range then. So if his stats, his analytical stats, the stats that everybody always says and has the argument like, oh, blah, 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 he was the worst. No, he wasn't. I'm sorry, but if you take those last few years off, and I know you're going to use the argument, oh, yeah, blah, blah, you can say that about anything, but every other shortstop, almost every great shortstop moved to third. Cal Ripken did. I can't think of any others right now, but I know there's been others that have shifted there. Well, of course, A-Rod did too. A-Rod probably would have broken down, not as have greatest stats at short if he stayed there for his whole career, if it wasn't for Jeter being at short. If he didn't have to shift to third because of being on the Yankees. Maybe Jeter should have moved to third at the end of his career. But A-Rod was still there. So they didn't shift him there. And it's not on him either. It's not his fault. So no matter what you can say about him, he's still a Hall of Famer, one vote shy of unanimous. Should have been unanimous in my opinion. Whoever the jackass would have didn't vote for him, I don't understand. He's obviously a Hall of Famer. So, but anyway, that's way off topic. I just want to get my 2 cents in there. And let's see. The first game played in Hawaii was in 1997, which I don't believe there's been any since then either. But I know they do. It was the Cardinals against the Padres at Aloha Stadium in Honolulu, and it was actually 3 games set in 3-game series. It was known as the Padres Paradise Series, and they dropped 2 of 3, losing that game 1-0. But yeah, I don't believe there's been any games there since. I think they do have a winter league there, like a lower level winter league, of course, like not major league, but winter league where they have some prospects playing there or whatever. I'm not sure if they still do, but I know they did a couple years ago. They had a winter league in Hawaii, but still it's cool to see cool to see baseball in Hawaii. Such a beautiful place like that. And then 1987, as the Brewers, as the American League, as they were in the American League, set the American League record with their 12th straight win to start the season. That was 1987. Now I don't think it's been broken. I don't know. I'm not positive, but it's kind of hard to start the season 12 wins in a row. So don't think anyone's done it, but don't quote me on that. Then you go back to 1972. Sparky Lyle became the first reliever to come into a game with a signature entrance song, as they played Pomp and Circumstance over the Yankee Stadium PA system, as he ran out to the mound. So yeah, he started the whole entrance song. Without him, you wouldn't have had Mariano Rivera coming out, the Sandman. So pretty cool. And then we go to that same year. Actually, the demolition of Crosley Field had begun, and it was actually 2-year-old Pete Rose Jr. that pulled the lever that sent the wrecking ball to the side of the former home of the Reds, and that ended up being turned into a parking lot, the area there. So, but Crosley Field, that's one of the historic ballparks for sure, and it will end up going. And then they were at the stadium that they're at now, what's been changed a lot. The name has been changed, because now it's Great American Ballpark. But I know it had a different name before that, though, because it was Great American Ballpark was opened in 2003 after formerly being Synergy Field, and before that it was Riverfront Stadium. So yeah, Riverfront. They were there from 1970 to 2002. And then we go to 1963. The great Willie Mays became the all-time National League right-handed home run leader when he hit his 371st career home run off of Larry Jackson at Candlestick Park. And he passed Jill Hodges on the list, who had established that previous mark of 370 this previous season. And then back to 1960, Roger Maris, who was traded over from the A's in the offseason to the Yankees, in his Yankee debut, went 4 for 5 as he batted leadoff. And he had 11 total bases, including 2 home runs and a double in that opening day game. And of course, the year after 1961 was the year that he passed Babe Ruth on the all-time home run list for a single season, with 61, which was, awesome for that to happen in 1961. To hit 61 is pretty cool. Of course, there's an asterisk, not actually an asterisk, but they have, technically it's an asterisk season because he hit it in more games than Babe Ruth did. He hit it in 7 more games. So, but still, it was still an accomplishment and still on the list. It's not taken away from him, just like it's not from the steroid users. So, and then we go another Yankee one back in 1949. The Yankees unveiled a monument in center field to honor Babe Ruth. It was 8 months after his death, and he became the third Yankee to posthumously be honored with the monument. Well, actually third overall, but they were two others were Lou Gehrig and Miller Hudgens, who were both posthumously awarded that. And then it's pretty much the birth, that's the birth to Monument Park. Getting those monuments out there, that's the birth. That's what started the whole Monument Park. Now they have, tons of monuments out there honoring a whole bunch of players, a whole bunch of great players from the past. Most recent one was, I believe, Jeter was the last one to get one. Well, I think, there's been Paul O'Neill has got one recently, and some other guys like that. But they have pretty much a handful. They've retired a lot of numbers, which I think they should just kind of slow down on that now. I don't think they should retire any other ones anytime soon, for sure. Or some of them they should even unretire. Like some of them aren't as notable. I can't top of my head. I can't think of any that are. They should, but I know they have. They definitely have ones that can be taken away. I mean, unretired, because they're like running out of numbers at this point. Because I know there's been people that have talked about retiring Brett Gardner's number. They've asked that if should he have his number retired. I don't think so. I mean, as much as I love the guy, much as he's going to be in the Yankee uniform in his whole career, he's not Derek Jeter. He's not Babe Ruth. He's not Lou Gehrig. He's not any of these great guys. I think it should be kept for the greatest of the great Yankees. I love Monument Park, and I love that to do that, but I don't think it should be given to some of these guys that aren't, the Babe Ruths of the world, or obviously not everyone. I mean, there's only one Babe Ruth in the world, but I mean the guys that are like at a great level, greatness level, or even just do it for like Hall of Fame guys, or ones that are sure are loved by everybody. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of Yankees that are loved by everybody that don't get their number retired, don't go in the Hall of Fame or whatever. But it definitely shouldn't be ever. It shouldn't be like a bunch of all these guys. Like, it shouldn't be every single guy that's loved, because a lot of guys are loved. Doesn't mean you retire every single one. I mean, you can give them a monument, but don't retire the number. That's all. But then the first Tigers broadcast was by Edwin Dyson in 1927, and he began the broadcast on the radio with, "Good afternoon, boys and girls. This is Ty Tyson speaking to you from Navin Field." And yeah, so that's who started broadcasting for the Tigers on the radio for the first time. And then nothing too crazy, nothing too notable. And besides 1890, Brooklyn Bridegrooms played their first National League game. They were formerly in the American Association, and they would become the Brooklyn Dodgers, who are now, of course, the Los Angeles Dodgers. They lost their first game in the NL to the Bean Eaters, who was the team that would be known as the Braves, in 1912. And it was at the South End grounds in Boston. And then also in 1900, there was one that's involving the Bean Eaters, as well, as they combined with the Phillies to score the most runs in Major League history, on opening day between two clubs, as the Phillies beat them 19-17, and it combined for 36 runs. And there's been, I don't know about opening day, but I know there's been other games in history that since then, of course, that have gotten over that. But not sure about the opening day part, but I know that there's obviously been a lot of games that have been high scoring like that. Not a lot, but there's been quite a few. I mean, it was back in 1900. It's over 100 years prior to today, so definitely been quite a few. So that's gonna basically do it here. There's nothing really too crazy on this day. Actually, going into the birthdays actually before I sign off, but a couple birthdays. Jackie Bradley Jr. turns 30 today. He's played 7 years with the Red Sox. Still a member of the Red Sox now. 15.9 WAR over those years. 1 All-Star game appearance. He's a pretty good player. Pretty good. He's really good defense. He hasn't really. I don't think he's really done as great as the Red Sox would hope, but he's still a solid piece to that team. Solid piece to the team in their World Series runs. Also, Joe Mauer's birthday is still only 37, actually, but he retired in 2016, I believe. He retired in 2016. He played for 15 years with the Twins. He's got a 55.3 WAR over those 15 years, and he made 6 All-Star games. He was really solid for a lot of those years, a lot of those teams that they had, and was a main piece to their team. Of course, at the end, he started to break down. He moved to first base, but he was a great catcher when he played in his prime. He was pretty great. He's loved by the Twins. He was very loved by the Twins. He's going to be remembered by Twins fans for sure. And there's also Frank Viola, who turned 60 today, and he played for 15 years in the major leagues. Between the Twins, Mets, Red Sox, Reds, and Blue Jays. He made 3 All-Star games, 47 career WAR, 176 and 150 record in his career, 3.73 ERA, 1,844 strikeouts. And he also won the 1988 AL Cy Young with the Twins. Yeah, with the Twins, he was in that year. He won 24 games with a 2.64 ERA and 193 strikeouts. So definitely really solid that year, winning the Cy Young, of course. And then he finished the top 6 of Cy Young voting 3 other times in 1984, 1987, and 1990. 1990 was with the Mets. He had another good year that year. And, he had a lot of good years. So a pretty good, solid career. So, yeah, he's 60. And he's now, I believe he's I think he's coaching somewhere now. And yeah, I believe he's a coach somewhere now. And then also, actually, and something I missed here was actually he was named the World Series MVP with the Twins in 1987. So, yeah, he had a really good World Series that year to help the Twins win that World Series. And yeah, he's another Twin that's loved by the Twins fans. Too bad Johnny's not on this pod to talk about him, but he was great. Happy birthday, Frank. Happy birthday, Joe, and happy birthday, Jackie. So, yeah, some pretty notable birthdays there. And that's going to do it, though. That's going to do it for me. I'll be back, hopefully, with somebody else on again, and continuing these little mini episodes daily that we look back on baseball history. Yeah, it's been fun. It sucks not out baseball, but looking back in history, I love doing it. something to do where we pass this time. We're trying to get baseball back. And make sure you follow us on pod_tar on Twitter. Make sure you follow the Scorecrow, as we've been pumping a lot of content. NFL draft content is going crazy. And over the next couple days leading up to the draft, we're going to be just mainly NFL draft stuff. The NFL draft profiles and some last minute mock drafts. And then also, just during the draft itself. I mean, when the draft is after round 1, we're going to be doing some other ones like best players available and second round mock, third round mock, whatever, and stuff like that. And so, should be fun. We're actually going to get live sports. We're going to get real, not really live, but yeah, I guess it is live because it is. But I mean, we're going to get real, actual, new stuff with the draft coming up on Thursday. So I'm excited for that, and we'll be back again tomorrow with another brand new baseball history episode, looking back on tomorrow's day, and tomorrow's 420, so it should be a little bit lit for that. So yeah, and just a reminder, you can never have too much pod tar.